All right. Well, appreciate everybody listening in here today. This is Andy Drake again with NCSA Baseball, and excited to have Dylan Cooper on from Kalamazoo College, assistant coach, recruiting coordinator there, to just talk a little bit about what they've got going on and some of their perspective on college recruiting. Man, Dylan, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, we were just talking a little bit before we got started here. The weather's been a little crazy, getting ready here. How's the spring season looking? I know you guys are just a couple weeks away from opening day, man. How you guys been doing so far? How's the spring coming
Good.
along?
Good. We're optimistic. I think cautiously optimistic is always the way we look at things going into the year. Um, a little tentative going into the year when you haven't been on a baseball field and you play your first day of baseball on a baseball field for your opening day game. So we actually fly out to California in 2 weeks. So really excited for that challenge, but a little nervous about what it's going to look like when we actually put the pieces on the field and roll the balls out and see what happens.
That's the northern climate baseball. It's one of those things where hey, we finally get warm weather and it's usually like the last week of the season. So
That's exactly right. That's exactly what it was last year. But
yeah.
we did take a couple trips last year. So we went to Atlanta and then
Hmm.
Florida, and this year we're doing California, then Florida, and we're going out to Kentucky in between. So hopefully trying to hunt down some warm weather, and hopefully that works out for us.
Should be some great trips there. So, Dylan, for anybody who's listening here today, tell us a little bit about Kalamazoo College. What makes that place special, baseball wise, academics wise? Give it for anybody who may not know as much about the school. Tell us a little bit about K College there.
Yeah, I certainly got a crash course in it. So this is my second year with
Hmm.
K. I'm from New Jersey originally, so the only thing that I knew about Kalamazoo was that Derek Jeter was from there. I am a diehard Yankees fan, diehard Derek Jeter guy. So hearing about Kalamazoo College pumped me up because I was in proximity to where he grew up. So that was always appealing to me. But other than that, man, I had no clue what was going on. And Mike Ott is our head coach, and pretty much everything that you need to know about Kalamazoo runs through him, right? So we feel in genuine nature that we are a Division I program at the Division III level, and that is spearheaded by him in terms of what he kind of provides the program, whether it's fundraising, resources, recruiting, obviously the trips that I mentioned, the gear. It's a different world than I think a lot of D3s out there are used to. So really fortunate from an overview perspective of all the data and the tech and the resources that we have. And then you combine that with what I think is a world-class education. I think it's a really cool spot to be for any high school, college level baseball player that wants to progress to the next level because we genuinely feel like we're a national championship level program that does things the right way.
I know you guys have been working really hard to get there. Have a really nice run there, the last few years, and so trying to make that next step. So, what are some of the things you guys have been focusing on here this off season and kind of preseason now to kind of take those next steps? Where are some areas that you guys have been really working on?
I think the biggest step that we're looking to take is our motto for the year, which is no excuses, no explanation. So whether that's in the weight room, in the classroom, as a teammate, on the baseball field, off the baseball field, we are refusing to make excuses in all areas of life. And that comes with bumps and bruises along the way, and it doesn't always go how you want it to go. But whether it's, you're in the cages and the lights are dim, it's hard to hit. We don't want to hear that. We want you to hit the ball, right? Because when you get into a game, nobody's going to make it easier for you. Everyone's trying to give us their best shot. So that's the biggest change I think that we're going into this year with is just a complete overhaul in terms of the excuses and trying to take complete accountability for all of our actions.
For sure. And the MIAA has been really competitive the last few years. Talk a little bit about, sort of the expectations for, who you see maybe, the top teams this year and kind of how's that all starting to take shape, you think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly a conference that I feel like is progressing in the right direction. I know we've kind of had a good run over the past couple of years in terms of winning it, and last year we fell short in the regular season and then in the conference tournament as well. So we ended up losing to Adrian in the conference tournament in a crazy extra inning walk-off scenario where I don't even want to think about it, but at the same time, it's a game that you win and lose on a flip of a coin, and we felt like we were one of the best two teams in the conference, and on that day we were one pitch short of making it to the regional. So Adrian, like I mentioned, is always good, and we know that they're going to be at the top of the conference as well as some other teams that I mean I don't want to say I'm concerned about, but I know that they're getting better and have seen their coaches all this summer and all this winter at showcases, camps, whatever it is, and we know that they're doing everything that they can to progress and take their games to the next level as well. So we're really excited about what we have returning on the field, but I know that those guys are too, and there's a lot of veteran experience across the top of the conference, especially with those teams that made the tournament last year. So that was us and Adrian and Calvin and Alma as well. So all four of those teams have a ton of returning pieces that are going to be really freaking good. And uh, there's some teams at the bottom of the conference last year that I think are going to be better this year as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So it's always every weekend's a battle in that
Yes,
league, no matter
that is exactly
what.
right. Whether it was 2-1 games or
Mhm.
18 to 16 games, there is a grind as you get through the MIAA conference schedule.
For sure. So, Coach, I'd love to get a little bit into kind of like how you guys do your recruiting process a little bit. So you started to talk a little bit about kind of out in the summer doing some recruiting. So, kind of take us through how you guys begin to build your list. When does that start? How early to begin to kind of build the list? When do you start to get out to see guys? When do you begin to kind of initiate communication? Just give us a little insight into kind of from a high academic D3 program. When do you guys kind of kick things off there?
Sure, great question. I think it's something where we pride ourselves on the last word that you mentioned there, which is communication. So for us, no matter who you are, if you are a eighth grader, if you're a senior in high school and you send me an email, I am going to respond to you. And that's just the nature of how we do our business. And you kind of never know what could come of that. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But for us, in terms of recruiting, it's kind of always 2 years ahead. So right now we have our 2026s that are committed, and then a few that we're still looking into. And then we're actively going through a list of 2027s that we're reaching out to and starting to contact. So I would say, in terms of a timeline perspective, I would say your junior summer is probably your biggest summer of recruiting in terms of high school baseball. But for us, we're trying to get ahead of the game and know about guys going into their high school season and make those connections early so that when we go see you play over the summer, it's already been established. And hey, we're interested in you. Want to come check out campus, whatever that ends up looking like. But at the same time, there's situations where you don't find out about a kid until 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden they pop up their senior year going into their uh, third week of their high school baseball season, and oh my God, this kid might be really good. So it's certainly not a linear situation, and everyone's different. So we're trying to work 2 years ahead, if you will, but with the transfer portal and everything that goes on now, it makes it really tough to kind of get ahead like that.
Things have changed a lot. And I know you're a younger coach, kind of getting into the game. If you look back 5 or 6 years, things are a lot different than they used to be, even just among all levels of play. So just from what you've kind of picked up here in your first couple of years, getting your feet wet here in college baseball, what have you kind of seen about how the transfer portal and all of those things have sort of affected recruiting, not just of course at the highest levels, but even for you guys, how the trickle down, of different players, and so forth. How has that affected you guys so far?
Yeah, I mean it's the transfer portal is everything in college athletics now, not just baseball, but especially when you get to the higher levels of baseball in terms of D1, it's something where those guys aren't even recruiting high school athletes anymore, which is unfortunate in a sense, but at the same time, I get it. I think everyone would probably choose the 21, 22-year-old over the 17, 18-year-old that still has work to do in terms of growing into their frame and size and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of where we're at, we're not anti-transfer portal by any means. We took our first two transfers this offseason, so massively excited about those guys. It was something where they fit our system exactly how we wanted them to, and obviously that takes some work. But we had recruited them out of high school, knew about them, and they fit our program really well. So for us, it was something where it was a natural fit, a natural connection. Outside of that, it's not exactly like you're reaching out to everybody across the country saying, "Hey, do you want to come play for us?" It's, we found two guys from Michigan that fit us really well and fit our locker room really well. But it's not something that we're, diving in crazy trying to take over college baseball with, because we'd rather, grow with our high school student athletes that we're recruiting, because I think there's a lot of programs out there, and not in a disrespectful way, but they'd rather, bring in and lose 20 guys in off season as opposed to growing with the guys that you kind of grew with or brought up with. So for us, it's not a bad thing by any means. I mean, I believe lost two guys since kind of the inception of the transfer portal. and both went to a higher level. So it's not exactly something where we're losing guys because our biggest priority is our culture, and the transfer portal is the easiest way to let doubts and negativity creep into your culture. So for us, it's trying to defend that at all costs.
And Kalamazoo is a pretty unique place. And so trying to
Yes.
find somebody who really can see themselves being, a student at K College, you're not going to necessarily, with the limited information on the portal, be able to identify is that somebody that could fit there. So you're really building those relationships and figuring out, is this guy a good fit for our school too?
Exactly right. It's certainly not something where it's an overnight thing and hey, do you want to come here?
Mm-hmm.
It's you build a relationship over the course of time, and obviously everyone wants to make a realistic decision within their own time frame. But for us, it was something that didn't happen overnight, and those guys I'm really excited about because I think they're acclimating really well inside of our locker room and building genuine connections that we had hoped that they would build when they came here. Because it's scary bringing in guys that have been in other locker rooms before and potentially could get cold feet or other guys, aren't as inclusive to them or whatever it ends up being. So massively excited about how our new guys are coming in and how our guys have welcomed them into our family.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, Coach, I'd love to go back in time a little bit here. Maybe not as far for you as for some of us here, but, I always like for families who are listening in on these talks to hear about other people's recruiting journeys. So take us back a few years to, your high school days. Tell us about that a little bit, but also like how did your recruiting process go? How did you make the decision to end up to go to Raritan Valley there to play college baseball? Just kind of take us through kind of your decision-making process, how that went for you.
Yeah, I guess I'm certainly a unique scenario where, man, I was about as average of a high school baseball player as you could find. There was not a recruiting process for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I got hurt my junior year, so missed a decent portion of that season. But my senior season was also canceled due to COVID. So for me, this new era of everyone plays travel baseball, and you're traveling all over the country, and you're on a club team, and guest plan for other whatever it is, that was non-existent where I was from. So like I said, I'm from New Jersey originally, but for me and my family, we didn't do the club baseball circuit. It just wasn't a reality for us. It wasn't what my parents wanted to spend their weekends doing. Would they have supported me? Sure. It wasn't really something that they knew about. So for us, we played our town travel baseball and did that hurt my recruiting process? Yes, but I also didn't know that I needed to seek out a recruiting process. So for me, I was going to go to college to be a regular student, but COVID happened my senior year. I decided to not go to a 4-year school, and the option of playing baseball presented itself at Raritan Valley, and I kind of jumped on it because I had been stuck in the house for forever, and I felt like, oh my God, I need to get out and do something, and kind of felt like I had more in the tank in a sense from a baseball standpoint. Like I had lost a 2-year stretch in my high school career that I was looking to get back. So it was an unbelievable decision for me and something that I'll never forget because it was a great experience and I love being around those guys and going and competing every day because I had really missed that opportunity over the years before that.
And the experience of playing college baseball obviously kind of springboarded you into continuing on with that into a coaching
Mhm.
career. So how did you kind of decide like, hey, I want to maybe continue to do this on the other side of things?
Yeah, so I played for a year at Raritan Valley, got a really good amount of playing time, really enjoyed my time, but I knew the MLB draft wasn't coming in a few years. I knew that my reality after baseball was going to come from the form of LinkedIn. And when I was thinking about my future, I decided to go to Rutgers to be a regular student because I just didn't see myself going to a D3 school after playing junior college baseball. And when I could get a really good business degree from a school that was in state and affordable and all that kind of cool stuff. So I chose to go to Rutgers to be a regular student. And then while I did that, I worked at a facility called Zone, which is a New Jersey facility that's pretty well known out there, but got the opportunity to coach 10U baseball on the outside of giving lessons and working with teams that came in and all that kind of cool stuff. And my first fall coaching 10U baseball was unbelievable. It was awesome. It was a disaster at times. It was really, really freaking fun, but I think it's something that all young coaches should have to do because if you can explain the basics of baseball to a 10-year-old, you should be able to explain it to a college athlete that understands what they're doing. So that really got me in. I don't want to say inspired because I'd always had a strong passion for sports and athletics and baseball. And I think I have strong leadership skills. But that really kind of connected me to a young group of kids that I wanted to kind of stick around with. So I stayed with them for that fall, coached them in the spring, and then over the summer I coached a higher level. I believe we were 15U at the time, whatever it was, and I stayed with them for 2 years over those 2 summers. So I got the experience of, the club baseball recruiting circuit at a higher level that I hadn't really done before. So that was going to tournaments in Myrtle Beach and Boston and kind of traveling around the East Coast, getting to talk to some recruiting coordinators out there and really enjoying it.
Awesome. So then the K College opportunity came up, so was that just, you mentioned the LinkedIn thing. Was that just
Yeah.
sort of, you saw a posting? Was there a
Yeah.
connection there? How did that come up?
Pretty much. I mean, I graduated from college and it was sort of
Hmm.
like, okay, well, what do I want to pursue? And for me, I have a variety of interests, but I wanted to be in sports more than anything, and I wanted to coach if the opportunity presented itself. So I reached out to a bunch of different openings that I don't even know. I saw Kalamazoo on Twitter. I don't know where, but there was an opening posted somewhere, and um, I must have emailed with Mike at a time, and we hopped on a phone call and made the connection there. So I did that with a bunch of schools. I think two of them got back to me, and like I said, the communication piece. Mike answered me in under a day, and nobody else got back to me within a week. So that really stood out to me for sure.
Awesome. And so now you made the move, you kind of took the leap, moved out to Michigan, and so settled in there. So talk a little bit more about sort of your kind of process when you get kids on campus, right? What's that experience like? Kind of the visit experience. How do you guys go about sort of getting kids on campus and then kind of showing them what's going on there?
Yeah, so for us, the our visits primarily come over the course of the summer, and that's with some exceptions with a prospect camp popping up, or maybe a kid's in the area from far away and wants to get on campus and see things. But typically, we do two visits. We do one over the summer. Hey, come check us out, see if you like the facilities, see if you like the gear, the tech, the resources. We run through a presentation for you, kind of let us introduce ourselves in person to you if we hadn't met you yet, and get to know you and your family. And then with that, we have you come back if you are mutually interested. So obviously, sometimes you do the visits, and for one reason or another, a kid's like, "Hey, not going to happen for me. Campus is too small. I didn't like the coat. Whatever you want to say, they're not interested. Cool. You don't have to come back. Up to you. But if you are interested in us, we'd love to have you back on campus for a second visit, which is in our fall season. And you come see a practice, see our indoor facility, check out the way things work, and meet some of our guys. Because I think it's really disingenuous to try and give a visit without the perspective of kids who play for the team or have experienced the coaching or experienced the school and the lifestyle. And especially, I mean, I was visiting schools as a regular student, just going and checking out college campuses, and everything looks awesome in the summer when there's no students there. But what is it really like for a kid in a day-to-day sense? So for us, we try to get kids on campus over the summer just to come see what we're about and meet us and talk to us. And I genuinely believe I don't think you'll see what you see on our visits that you see in any other visit. We completely pull back the curtains in terms of who we are, what we're about. I don't want to say the secret sauce, but how we go about our business. And that is completely encompassing of everything to how we eat our team meals, to how we travel on the road, to what we wear uniform wise, to what our individual development plans look like from a practice perspective. We give you practice plans. We try to be as thorough as possible because for us and for me especially, my goal is that you leave a visit with zero questions. If you leave a visit and you text me later with a question, I probably did a poor job of explaining who we are and what we're about. So just try and be as thorough as possible in terms of giving kids an experience where they could see themselves on our campus among our guys within our roster.
Awesome, good stuff. So when you think about what a K college guy looks like, when you're evaluating a player in person, or if you get a recruiting profile, or you get a video, or you get a recommendation from somebody, and then all right, let's start doing some homework. What is it about a player that makes them stand out that says, yeah, that's somebody we probably want to get to know more about? Is it like a metric thing? Is it a size and strength? Is it the academics? It's always going to be probably a little bit of all of that. But, give us some perspective on like, yeah, these are the kind of things that jump out at us to say that's a K college guy.
Man, I think that certainly changed over the years that Mike's been here because his first recruiting class, which I think you know pretty well, was a group of not in a negative way. They were nerds that were going to Kalamazoo College for academics, and they ended up playing baseball too. I think we've certainly shifted gears, but for me, the biggest thing that I look for is baseball guys. the guys that want to be on the field. They live and die with every play. They're doing the little things. They're picking up their teammates. They're always hustling. And that's really hard to convey through an email or a text message or whatever it is. So I completely understand some parents and families and high school athletes concerns with how am I going to get seen and all that kind of stuff. For us, it's just making sure you're consistent with your communication. And I'm not saying I need to hear from you once a week, but showing that you're consistently working on things and doing a variety of different drills or activities or exercises to get better. So, like if you set up a base fastball or you hit off the tee and all you send me are videos of you hitting off the tee, that's not extremely exciting to me, right? Like your tee exit velo looks awesome, dude, but I probably need to see you with some live pitching. And then with that, I think showcase camps are an awesome way to kind of present yourselves, and it's something where it's hard to describe exactly what you look for at a camp, but if you see a kid in a baseball uniform at a field, at a facility, at a practice, you can tell if they're a baseball guy or not. So it could be as simple as, what do you do in your on deck routine? That's what we're watching. How do you leave the field? How do you communicate with your parents before and after games or practices or anything like that? So um, I wouldn't pinpoint one thing. I think it's encompassing, like you said, it's the academics, and we're certainly becoming more physical in terms of who we're looking for. But I think the key word would probably be projectability. I think with every guy that we see for one reason or another, whether you're 6'6" with a massive frame and we think you could be really freaking good, or you're 5'5" and 130 pounds and we're like, man, you do something really well. So as long as you have a trait that we see could be beneficial to us in the long run, and we think that you could fit our culture, awesome. Sign us up because we have a dude on campus that's a freshman that is maybe the largest human being I've ever seen. I think he's like 6'6", 250, give or take. And we have a sophomore that is one of the smaller human beings I've ever seen. He's 5'5", 100 and I'll give him 40 pounds, a little dude, but they do very different things and they can both fit our offense. And that's why baseball is a beautiful game because you don't need to
Mm.
be a certain size or shape or type of player to fit our system.
It's all about finding the right fit, finding a place that's going to
Exactly.
give you that opportunity as well, for sure. So, when you think about, kind of the play, again, the academics at K are very important, but they're also very unique, right?
Yeah.
In all transparency, I did coach at K College about a decade plus ago, so I have some experience there. But, with the study abroad and all of those kind of things, that's also something that, kind of plays into it. So, how do you guys like evaluate that part of it, and where does that come into play when maybe there's a decision that needs to be made on whether we can continue to pursue this athlete or not? How important in the hierarchy is the academics, the transcripts? Where does that play into it?
Yeah, I mean it's massively important. I
Mm.
think that's there's no way to sugarcoat it for us. And we're an academic institution. We want our kids to be in the classroom. We want them to leave with a degree that is meaningful, and they've genuinely taken what they've learned from our 4 years and grown from it. So there is, I mean, when I go to a camp or get an email, the first thing that I will ask or look for is what is your GPA, and it's pretty plain and true. If you're below a certain number, you're probably not getting into Kalamazoo. And with that, we're a merit-based financial aid program, and it's really hard being a D3 and not having scholarship money because, man, it would be super simple if I had a boatload of scholarships where I could load you up and be like, hey, if you're above a 2.0 and you're eligible, here's free school. You can come hang out. But for us, if you're a better student, you're probably going to get more money in financial aid and merit-based scholarships. So looking for the higher academic kids is beneficial to us because it's more realistic to get them on campus and hopefully committed down the road because school becomes more affordable for them. So for us, if you're a 2.0 student versus a 4.0 student, you're probably going to get more money if you're on the 4.0 spectrum, which I don't think is a shock to anybody. But for us, it makes it way more realistic to try and reach out and contact you. And because we don't think you'll struggle when you get on campus. Because for us, the last thing that we want to worry about is academic concerns and you being stressed over a test or an assignment, and all that stuff is natural over the course of your college career. That's going to happen. But if you're not equipped to handle a high school workload, you're probably not equipped to handle a K college workload. So that's kind of how we look at it in terms of if you're struggling in high school, you're probably not a great fit for us at the college level.
Yeah, great insight. So when you guys kind of think about, sort of the overall process of recruiting, you talked about, being present for the recruits to communicate with you guys and stay in touch with you. What are some other things that, kind of stand out as, when you're interacting with a recruiter, interacting with the family? these are positive things. Like this makes us want to get to know that kid a little bit more, get to know that family a little more. What are some things that these families can kind of keep in mind, just in general, that this is important for you to do, for college coaches to get a good sense of who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. The easiest one, the most controllable one. Do not spell my name or Coach Ott's name wrong in your introductory email. I mean, it sends a chill down my spine, and I think it's happened to everybody where you accidentally do something or autocorrect, whatever it is. Read through your email before you send it to us, because man, I couldn't tell you how many emails I've read with Coach Mott, and he's Coach Ott. So if you don't put enough time in to check and make sure that your generic email that you're sending to everybody is at least spell checked, you're probably not a great fit for us. So I don't mean to be negative in that sense, but for us to really make a strong connection, I feel like you need to show that you're interested in us. And that means it's probably not some chat GPT email that you've sent to a billion college coaches. Because I have friends that coach college baseball across the country, and I'll send them a kid that sent me some generic email for a variety of reasons, and they'll be like, yep, got the same one. So for us, if you show me, hey, I've done actual research into you guys and your program instead of just I'm interested in any collegiate baseball opportunity. Well, no, you're not, because then when I ask you about it, you're gonna be like, I think it's too far away from home. I think it's too expensive. That means you didn't look us up. And I'm fine with answering any questions that you have, but for us, if you don't even know where we are and you're emailing us being like, hey, I'd love to come play for you. Well, are you sure? You really want to come to Michigan? Because if you do, great, we'll come, we'll talk, but um, at least work through a series of questions in yourself that are, sort of your checkpoints of what a school would look like in a realistic setting for you. And kind of your, indisputables. I need this in a program. And if we don't check those boxes for you, why would you reach out? So, building that genuine connection of, hey, I have so and so that knows you guys. I've done this research into your program. I really enjoy this area of study that you guys are great with academically. All those options are awesome ways to reach out and connect because it shows me that you've put the time in to actually look into us.
Yeah, great stuff. So be very genuine in your interaction with the coaches. Goes a long way in maybe them
For
wanting to
sure.
follow up with you
Both
for
parents
sure.
and
Yep.
players. So
Mhm.
potentially having parents on campus. I mean, not in a judgmental way, but we want to be around parents that are just as good people as we have in our locker room and just as good players as we're getting on campus. So for us, if we get you on campus and we think that you're going to be some problem, it's probably not going to work out. But I certainly would say we've had significantly more positive experiences with parents than negative experiences with them. So I'm very proud of our parent relations, and I think we do a really good job of making sure that our parents are happy and proud of the program that their sons are a part of, and the program that they signed up for when they came on their visit, however many years ago it was, whether it was one or whether it was four or five, is exactly what we kind of agreed to that we would kind of put on for them and make sure that they got the experience that they deserve.
For sure. Great stuff. Well, Coach, it's been awesome. I don't want to keep you too long here tonight, but one last question. Just think about, sort of if imagine you're in front of like 100 families right now that are, just going through the recruiting process. Any other just kind of final words of like advice or encouragement or, just some things for them to kind of take away, from, this, interaction tonight here of just, what can they be doing well in recruiting or just in general, some final piece of advice for anybody here tonight.
Yeah, I think it's awesome what you're doing, and it's certainly something that I wish that I had when I was in high school because, man, it would help my recruiting process, if you want to call it that, a significant amount. But I would say just don't panic. There's no reason to ever panic. It will work itself out. And
Mm,
my mom always told me, if you choose wrong, you can choose again. So whether that's school, it's life, it's your major, it's a job opportunity. If you pick the wrong school, worst case scenario is you went there for a year and you hated it and you choose somewhere else. So
mm.
whether you're getting a ton of looks from college level coaches or you're getting none, don't panic. It will work itself out. If you love baseball and you genuinely want to do it at the next level, you will find yourself at a place that appreciates you for that. And if you don't, choose again and go somewhere else. I think especially at K, we value that more than anything else. It's a group of baseball guys that want to be around each other and want to be on the field at all times and we'll take you in and bring you in like one of our own. But for anybody, whether you're, big, tall, small, quick, whatever it is, you will find a home. Don't panic. The recruiting process is long. It is not linear. It is up and down. And just when you think you are never going to hear from a college coach. One will text you the next day. So certainly don't stress yourself out over it. I know it's something that all high school kids want to have done and wrapped up by the time that they get to a certain point in their careers, but that's just not the reality for everybody. So,
Hmm.
don't take it too personally if coaches aren't reaching out to you just yet. Keep working hard, keep reaching out to coaches and being consistent with your communication, and attend their prospect camps. I couldn't emphasize that enough. I mean, we have 8 commits in the 26 class, and 4 of them came to our prospect camps last year. And we did 2 camps, and those were our first 2 camps ever done. So for us, it's a massive recruiting tool that I think all parents should look into. And that doesn't mean you need to go to a camp a week, but pick 3 or 4 schools that you're really interested in. And hopefully they give you a genuine look when you go to their camp in terms of, man, this kid can make a difference on our campus in a couple of years.
Yeah, do some research, make sure it's a realistic fit, but the camps are a great way for them to see you
Yep,
and for you to
exactly
see
right.
them.
Exactly right. I mean, there's only so much recruiting we can do during the season. So I love the high school baseball numbers, and it's awesome that you're hitting 700 against so and so competition that I can't see for myself. But I would very much vouch for the experience of playing in front of college coaches because everything kind of changes when the lights get a little brighter in a school that you really want to go to is they're watching you play and watching your body language and watching how you react when you're striking out or when you're hitting a home run because I've seen both and I've been dissuaded one way or another from both reactions, whether it's too positive or too net, all of it and somewhere in between. So always a good opportunity to see kids live because that's the only way that you're realistically going to get recruited at this point. And I know some emails and some video is always helpful. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't recruit a kid based off that because we certainly have, but try not to be a Twitter recruit. Try and get in front of as many coaches as possible.
Awesome. Great advice, coach. All right, I want to leave with this here. One, not to put you on the spot here. I'll give you a second to think if you need it, but just a funny story, funny anecdote from your playing days, coaching days here so far. I know, again, you've got a little bit of a shorter timeline here than a lot of us, but what's a
Yeah.
funny story that comes to mind here recently for you?
I mean, every time I go into work, something ridiculous happens, and most of it is coach out related. He is primarily what comes to mind, but man, whether it's practice or a game, um, I would say so he's pretty well known for being a guy that wants to be warm. So we go 2 NFL sideline heaters in our dugouts at all times. And I know this isn't coaching related necessarily, but he called me last night and he's a dude that's, running a nationally top 25 program and he's got a noise going in the background. I'm like, dude, what is that? And he's like, it's a hair dryer. I'm hair drying my face to keep it warm right now. And it's the stories like that are little that he talks about a bunch because they're so meaningful to some guys. So I think especially with Kalamazoo, it's those little stories of guys that have some experience when they go out to eat on the road when we're traveling, or so and so sharing a hotel room together, or whatever it is that really make a college experience memorable, or showing up to practice every day. So when you enjoy who you work with, when you enjoy who you're around, and it's certainly all the guys that we have in our locker room because I genuinely enjoy being around them at all times. 98% of the time. I'll prefix it with that, but yeah, certainly a litany of good experiences, and most of them were created by Coach Ott and the culture that he's built.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, Dylan, this has been great. Appreciate the time tonight. Love to get you back on sometime soon. Talk recruiting, talk about, college baseball, but let us know if there's anything we can do to help you as well. Okay.
Sounds good. It was awesome.
Awesome, man. Have a great night.
All right, you too.